Conference on Facebook and YouTube Live, which is making a global impact. Wisdom Impact Magazine, our quarterly educational, inspirational, and informational magazine, which will be printed in hard copies and be distributed globally free of charge to countries and territories which may not have access to internet. The Global Wisdom Academy, an online ministerial and leadership training academy, which remains steadfast and committed to carrying out God's purpose of empowering Christian ministers and leaders globally to effectively execute leadership and ministry work with wisdom. Global Wisdom Mission's aim is to proclaim the gospel in word and deed, describing the shape of Jesus' own ministry. The Apostle Peter says he went around doing good and healing all. Through missions, we seek to provide healthcare for a lasting change during our actual Global Wisdom conferences in different countries with our skilled medical physicians, experienced surgeons, and professional health workers. Partner with us now and help us spread the gospel of Jesus Christ around the world and take it to places where you may not be able to go yourself. Together, we can make a difference in somebody's life today. To give your donation, visit our website at www.globalwisdommissions.com and donate via our PayPal link or register your interest at wisdomconference3@gmail.com.
Hello, viewers. Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's really exciting to be here with you. I know it's been a while and I missed hosting, and it's such a blessing for me to be here hosting tonight. Tonight, we are going to be discussing a topic that's really dear to my heart, and I know we are going to be tremendously blessed as we listen to this powerful man and woman of God. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, and then we are going to get started. Right, could you tell us where you are watching from? So tell us where you are watching us from. Don't forget to share, call your friends, call your loved ones, get everybody to be on the screens with you tonight, because guess what? You are going to be blessed tremendously as you listen to them. Right, could you introduce yourself? I'm going to start with Dawn. You go first, please.
Hi, I am Dawn. I'm from the UK, and we both live in Southampton. And this is my husband, Jim. So I just want to share a little bit about who I am, where I've come from, and how God's amazingly come into my life and set me free.
Dawn, before you do that, could we just give our viewers like 2 minutes to tell us where they are watching from?
Okay.
So let's see people sharing. Tell us where you're watching from. Let's make sure we can feel your engagement tonight before Dawn starts pouring out this gold to us. So no one, I can't see any comments yet. Tell us where you are watching from. Call your friends. Just tag them in the link. Come on, let's do this now. I can't see anything yet. Let's see. Where are you watching us from tonight? Tell us.
While we're waiting, do you want me to also say myself real quick? And
Oh,
that
of
way
course. Yes, Jim. Go for it. Yeah, you do that, Jim.
My name is Jim Van Sice. I'm originally from America. I've moved to England 17 years ago. Married to Dawn for just about as long as that. And then obviously my life, just like Dawn's, has been radically changed with God kind of being in the center of where we were. Who we are today is not who we were in the past. So that obviously that gets me out of the way so everybody can
absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much, Jim. And is that not the beauty of it? We can't be with Christ and still be the same. It should be, there should be transformation. You should be able to testify that, look, my life is so much better since I've been with Christ, or I've been in Christ. And likewise, the people around you, they should be able to testify as well. Right, we're going to get going. Dawn, do you want to start? Tell us who you are and why this topic, breaking from addiction. Could you tell us a bit more about it, Dawn?
Okay. So, yeah, I think, why is this dear to my heart? It's been in my life, if you like, from one end to the other, from being in total addiction to myself and actually experiencing God in such a fundamental way, and for him to set me free, and to experience that radical change, I live and breathe so people can be set free too. When I was young, I was brought up into abusive family. Both my parents sexually abused me, and there was also a physical abuse going on as well. And I had other siblings. One of them left the home, and so left me and my brother there to sort of fend for ourselves within this environment. Unfortunately, my parents were very heavily involved in the occult. And my father was one of the main priests, if you like, for the place there where we lived, and he saw all these churches. And so I was brought up in this spiritual cult, which was so-called healing, so they claimed. And it became such a thing that there were people in and out of our home, doing all this spiritual occult, Ouija boards, all sorts of stuff going on. So my whole life was evolved around this. And unfortunately, my father would abuse the women that came into our home too. So it was very chaotic, very toxic, a very bad environment. And so it was like, how was I going to survive this? How do you function in this? So at a very early age, I think I was about 13, I first found cigarettes, which was quite good. That was just the in thing to do. And then very quickly at 14, I found alcohol, because my parents had a lot of it going on around the house. So I used to steal their alcohol. And I found this worked pretty good, because then I didn't have to be in the world. I didn't have to sit in the environment that I was in. I could still be here alive, but I could be out of this world.
Out of the world, yeah.
So, and to me, that was normal. But very quickly, I learned that actually men were interested in me when I hit puberty. Also my father, unfortunately, but I learned to use it as a device, that I was able to get money from these men to give me money so I could buy alcohol, or I would get them to buy me alcohol. So in effect, I ended up prostituting myself very young, and then came to 14, and I had the unfortunate privilege, as it were, to encounter drugs. And this was another escape for me to be able to function in what I was sat in. So very quickly, I learned then that to go on from weed, pushed on through that and went to cocaine and alcohol, speed, all sorts of things. And this was just my life. This is what it was like growing up. As I say, hugely dysfunctional. But I always had this inner thing that there must be something that can heal me. Because I'd end up, my mental health got hugely affected, and I ended up having a breakdown. So much so that I lost the use of my legs, and I stopped functioning. I became agoraphobic. But all the time it was like, how can I be healed? How can I get out of this? And I just didn't know. I was on the medications the GP had given me, all sorts of things. So it was like, what do I do? And I became really desperate. And I remember walking down the road one day and thinking, this man that heals, which I believed was from my father's occult, times. And I thought, well, if this guy is real, let me go and find him. So I was walking down the road thinking this, and I passed this little church. And on the outside of the church, it said healing. And I'm like, yes,
Go on, then. Yeah.
yes, I know what that's about. That's what my father did. So I'm like, that's where I need to go. So I walked into this church, and wow, was it weird. There was people kept singing really loud. They had their hands in the air, and they were praising this God. And I'm like, no, I don't want nothing to do with that. I thought, no, that's just another cult. Don't want nothing to do with it. So I went home, and blow me, 3 weeks later, this man turns up at my door with a baseball cap and a dog collar on. And he said to me, I'm sorry to bother you, but I found that you went to my church. And I said, yes, I did. And I'd like to tell you what I thought of your church. So I'm really angry here, you know. And I said, please come in. And I did my best with this man to put him down, to prove he was a cult. And he said, he just led me gently to the Lord to understand who God really was. And that's how my journey started. But I think he came to see me for about 6 weeks, once a week. And I tried my hardest to beat this vicar down, to say, no, you've got it wrong. And at the end of the 6 weeks, he said to me, Dawn, he said, have you got any more questions about God? And he said, do you realize and believe that Jesus actually really died for you? And I'm like, and I couldn't find any reason not to. And I said, yeah, actually, yeah, I do. And he said, okay. He said, now then, he said, I'm going to leave you with my little prayer tract. And he said, and if you want to receive Jesus, then you say this prayer. And I said, oh, okay. So I chucked it on one side, and I went, no, I'm not saying that.
But he did tell you to call him if you ever did.
Yeah, and he said to me, if you do, just let me know. And I'm like, whatever. Anyway, I didn't last 24 hours. That little prayer tract was sat there, and I'm like, I have to read that prayer. And I started to read. In the end, I started to read it. And as I read it, I just broke. I just broke and went down on my knees, and I was sobbing. And that was the journey of my start of my healing. I had the privilege of being mentored by them for a year, him and his wife. And that was my way that I started to come out of addiction. I became set free totally. There was no withdrawal symptoms from anything. It was just unbelievable. The problem was I became a drug dealer.
Right.
As you do.
So I thought, I'll give up the drugs, but I'll stay with it.
Yeah.
Just dealing, not taking, you know.
So I grew all the marijuana and everything else. And then I would I would then distribute it, take the money, and I thought I had it sussed. 1, I'm a Christian. 2, I get all the money I want. And 3, I'm set free from drugs. I had it sussed.
Yeah.
So I thought. So I'm walking down the road one day to the guy that's going to give me.
I'm going to stop you there, Dawn. This is such a gripping and a powerful testimony. Right. So far we have Mercy joining us from Nairobi, Kenya. We have Pastor Bertha and Pastor Martin. Thank you so much for connecting with us. I can see some more people there, but unfortunately, you are not telling us where you are watching us from. And I just wanted to say hello to you. Look, call someone who loves a good story. Tell them to tune in tonight, because this definitely sounds like a good story to me. And the most powerful thing is, it's true. This is not made up. She is just pouring out her life experience so that she can be a blessing to us tonight. Guess what? I know people who need it. We need to call in our teenagers. We need to call in our cousins. We need to call in our friends and say, hey, come on here. And pastors, there's a place for you here. Maybe you think you have nothing to do with addiction, but guess what? She was talking about how she was just walking down the road and saw the sign which says healing. What have you advertised your church as? If you have a young, troubled person walking past, we don't know that it's a church. Could you very quickly join us tonight? And guess what? There's something in there for you. Pastor Bertha, God bless you so much for joining us tonight. Let's get more people watching. Let's get more people commenting. Let's know where you are watching us from. Wow, what a powerful testimony. Right, keep going and go on.
Okay, so I think I got it all sussed, and I'm walking down the road, not taking drugs anymore or alcohol, set free completely by our wonderful Lord and Savior. And I think in my naivety, I thought I had it all sussed. I've got 2 big bin liners full of marijuana that I'm going down the road with to claim £3,500 worth. What that translates to in other countries, I'm not sure.
A lot.
But I'm sure you can look it
Yeah,
up.
a lot of money, definitely.
So I'm going down the road singing worship songs with,
Oh.
unfortunately, a cigarette hanging out of my mouth and 2 bin bags full of weed, marijuana. Okay, so I go down the road, I hit the door of where the guy was, and I'm just waiting for my money. So I put the 2 bin liners full of weed at his doorstep, and he walks away down his corridor to get my money. And as I'm stood there, I hear this audible voice.
Voice, tell me about it.
And he said, God said to me, turn around and walk away. So I instantly obeyed. There was no umming and ahhing. When I heard the voice, I moved.
Was that the first time you heard an audible voice?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Never heard, in all my drunken stupors and highs on drugs, never heard anything. So here I am, clean and sober. And so I hear this voice, turn around and walk away. Okay, so I start walking and just doing as I'm told. And then all of a sudden, the reality kicks in. And I'm like, what are you doing? Go and get your money. So I turn around and go back to get my money. And I hear the voice again. And it said, Dawn, turn around and don't look back anymore. So I left and I did as I was told. And I left. And that was my last encounter with any form of addiction at all.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that's basically briefly where I've been and how God sort of set me free. So, yeah, the rest, is, if you like, is history, because I've just gone on to support those that have probably been in similar situations to me, or probably even worse.
Worse one, probably. Yeah.
And I just want to see them set free. I just want that ability for them to experience life in its full. So that's where my journey has taken me.
What a gripping story or testimony of what Jesus can do. Nee, where are you watching us from? Tell us. And Joan, where are you watching us from? Tell us. Psalmist Makoti from Kenya. It looks like Kenya is winning tonight. Come on, where are all the other people? Tell us where you are watching us from. Jared, where are you watching us from? Tell us where you are watching us from. So far, we have so many people telling us they are from Kenya. God bless you if you're watching us from Kenya. God bless you. God bless you. Right. So you were talking about drugs. You were talking about alcohol. What is addiction? If we should start with that, what is addiction?
Okay. You want to start?
I mean, well, if you think about it, addiction is a constant craving or overwhelming compulsion where you sort of lose control of yourself to use a substance. Usually it's like a coping mechanism. So what a lot of people use, you have a hard day at work, you come home, you go drink a glass of wine. A glass of wine isn't addiction. A glass of wine is addiction when it becomes that habit forming where you no longer can go, it's been a hard day at work. When it's a normal day at work, you're still having that glass of wine. When it is just an average day, you're not at work on a Saturday, you're still having that glass of wine. It's about that part where you lose control to, whereas I can give you like a little test. most people have a mobile phone. Most
Mhm.
people don't realize they have a mobile phone addiction. If
Okay.
I asked you, give me your mobile phone, and all you people out in Kenya, you have to post it to me, okay? But if you give it to me for an entire week and you cannot use your phone, if the first thing that comes to your mind is, whoa, I don't know, okay? There are other ways to communicate with people.
Mhm.
There's other ways that you can get into contact with people. But if it's, I can't leave Facebook for a week, what would happen in a week in Facebook? If it's to that level, that's where it's addiction, where you cannot and you have no ability to let go of whatever that coping mechanism is. And it could be anything,
Mhm.
you know.
Right. Could you let me just say hello to Uncle Nee? It's really lovely to see you here. I don't know whether you saw me. Immediately I read your comments, I started smiling. Really lovely to see you here. Please share this. It's such a powerful testimony. I don't know if you heard the beginning of Dawn's testimony. So powerful. Please share it. Kweko Poapo, so God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us from Ghana. Where are my Ghanaians? Let's feel your presence tonight as you share and comment and then just pass. Oh, well, he says it's powerful. It's so powerful, isn't it? Tell me about it. Right. Okay. So you've already given us one example of mobile phone. Could you talk us through a little more? Just in case people are thinking, actually, I'm not in that category.
Okay. So what can we say? That we find, especially within the church, that we have a lot of high functioning addicts, if you like.
Yeah.
And you will find those that gamble. That and we hear the comment here a lot, which is, "Oh, if only I'd win the lottery." And it's like, well, how can I get that quick fix? How can I find that money? And that seems to be one of the ones that people seem to feel is actually okay as a Christian, is to gamble.
Okay.
They keep it small. So like, you know, we don't gamble, we just do bingo.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're not actually gambling. What we're doing is we're raising money for the food bank. So what we'll do is we'll do bingo and we'll give somebody a prize for winning bingo.
Mm-hmm.
But in actuality, they're paying you money, hoping that they are going to earn more money from bingo. Do you see where I'm at?
Yeah.
And it's very gently, very easily. It's just bingo. It's only a quick thing. We're, you know, doing it for a good deed. But then that's like a gateway. There's a couple of different gateways you can get. Bingo is a very simple gateway, which leads to like scratch cards. You're not really doing any gambling. You're just scratching up a card, hoping that you'll win, you know, your pound, or different countries, your Ghana cedis, because we got Ghanaians here, the Americans, you got dollars, but you're hoping to get more out than what you just put in, which leads into more things like the lottery, which leads into online gambling, where you're sitting there just playing a game. And that's all I'm doing. I'm only spending a little bit of money and I'm enjoying the fun of playing the game. But then it gets to like a level where you start losing large amounts of money and you go, if I do this and if I gamble it that way, I'll earn that money back that I lost. And that's the level of addiction you got with gambling. It starts off so slow. It's never one day you're instantly doing it. And I've actually heard people say, I'm on my gambling this year, I've lost $10,000. But you know what? My next trip going out to Vegas, I'm going to gamble on this certain table because I get a better odds on that one. I'll be able to earn that 10 grand back and get a little extra. So now I'll be okay. And that's their mindset of thinking I can earn it back. But whenever you gamble, the house always wins. It's simple as it's the way it works. You know, and most people don't realize that. They think they can beat the odds, you know. And that's where it becomes that compulsion. You have to win back what you've lost.
Yeah. So. Obviously we find as well with a lot of Christian believers that sit in our churches today, they struggle with prescription drugs. And the amount of addiction that is involved in those is really, really sad. Really sad.
Probably the most damaging one, which most people don't realize. You think once you're Christian, everybody's clean, everybody's sorted, and you know God's got them all 100%. But I mean, pornography is huge in the church, and I know This is probably going to offend some people, and they're probably not going to like to hear it. But
Go for it, Jim.
you know,
If that is what is going to bring the deliverance, please go for it.
that's it. I'll be brutally honest. You know, I suffered with porn addiction. Okay, so if I'm going to lay myself bare, it's absolutely the truth. But you think about the percentages. If you look online about Christians being able to watch pornography at least once a month, you have anywhere from 40 to 60%. So if you think about a church of 100 people, 40 of those 100 people, male and female, are looking at pornography.
Oh my goodness
Okay.
me.
Now, the one that scared me the most, this stat really got me. Pastors in the church are at 50%, which would mean that if it's not you, the pastor sitting next to you is probably the one. Start looking at your other pastors and kind of giving them that, well, you know, don't pass judgment. You know, it's about, you know, love people where they are and help them out of what it is. There's a reason why they're going there. There's something more than just, it's just there, it's convenient, it's easy. But the stat, 50% with the pastors really got me. And it's almost 33%, somewhere around it, 30 to 40% for women are watching. It's not just a man thing.
Unbelievable. Exactly. You would think it's just a man, isn't it?
Yeah, no.
No, it's a woman thing just as much as it is the man thing. And that's the thing. It's a hidden addiction. You cannot, when a drunk person walks into church, you see it, you smell it, you know it's there. When they have addiction with porn, you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't recognize it. They're just a person walking in the door. But it's Jesus never, ever, ever judged. I mean, he went to prostitutes knowing exactly what they are built for and what they are doing. And he loved them for where they are. And it's about finding out why they're going into porn rather than trying to condemn them. Oh my goodness, I can't believe you went to porn. You know, it's just an outlet. It's a coping mechanism. That's more, when we're talking about breaking free of these different addictions, it's not about the addiction that's the problem. Because if I free them from porn, but we don't sort the issue, they're going to go over to alcohol. They're going to go to drugs. They're going to find another cope to get through. And that's the big key, is that find that root cause. And that's, I think we'll probably be digging into that in a part 2.
Yeah, I think so.
Right. Well, viewers, so just to let you know, so we have this going for 2 weeks. So next week, we are going to be still talking about breaking from addiction. Guess what? If I were you, I would actually invite everybody in church, because as he was talking, or as they were talking, I realized that actually, some way, somehow, maybe you are not into alcohol or drugs, but you're addicted to your phone. And once the thought of not having your phone makes you panic, it makes you begin to worry and think, oh no, my phone, what have I missed on Instagram? What have I missed on TikTok? What have I missed on social media? What is going on that I haven't been part of? Guess what? There is something in it for you. So please make sure you are sharing. Keep sharing. Tell me where you are joining us from. Right. So let's talk about what are the signs of addiction. You've actually given us some examples, but just in case someone just joined us, could you just enumerate some signs of addiction so that we clearly know if I have this and that, this is probably addiction.
Okay. So I guess the compulsion never to leave it alone.
Yeah.
As we were saying, when you start that drastic search, like you were talking about with the phone, it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So that compulsion to have it.
Yeah, I have to have it. Yeah.
Or, you know, it becomes more of it becomes need rather than have. Okay, I need to have this, otherwise something's going to happen to me. But you're never able to finish that sentence, okay, until you dig deeper as to why.
Yeah, you never, if you ever think about it, people never say, I have to have this, because they always say, I have to have this. And that's it. That's as far as they ever go.
Okay, and obviously with the drugs and the alcohol, there's obviously the outward signs that come along with that. But you'll also find that they're always wanting money. People are always asking for the money to supply their habit.
If they've gotten to a point where they are no longer functioning in society, where they are homeless because their drinking has used up their money so much, or the drugs have used up so much that they've gone homeless, that kind of thing, they are brilliant manipulators. As you said, oh, I don't have any money for food. No, you don't have any money for your drugs. You have a way to get food. You know what I mean? There's enough free places that you can get food, but they use that one and say, oh, my children don't have any food for lunches, so I got to give it to them. Why do they not have food for lunches? I spent it on whatever my addiction is.
Yeah.
They will manipulate you and throw, especially family. Family, you guys are especially targeted to them because you have to love me, you have to accept me, and you have to be a part of me, and I will use you to get what I need.
So a lot of emotional blackmail
Yeah.
that goes on, but also you'll find sometimes in the actual person as well that actually they start to withdraw from society. They become depressed. They become paranoid.
Which then feeds more.
They'll get anxiety. They become antisocial as well. That actually they're wanting to exclude themselves from everyday life and become very insular.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to. There's a thing that we call dual diagnosis. Blah blah blah, whole bunch of gobbledygook. But here's the very basics of it. People who have addiction can suffer with depression, which makes them down, which then you need a coping mechanism to bring them back. Sometimes they go to alcohol, which is a depressant, which brings them down even farther. So what's happening is you have two things that are drawing. The alcohol is making you feel worse. You feel worse, so you draw to the alcohol to then try and help you cope. And you're dually pulling yourself down into a negative situation. And they need to not only address the addiction, but also the emotions that go behind it as well. And most people only focus that you are an alcoholic, but not deal with the emotion that makes them try to draw that as well. Sorry, didn't mean to jump.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I don't know if we want to go into that a little bit, or do we want to chat with anyone at the moment?
Yep.
No, we haven't got any question at the moment. So yeah, please.
Questions are legal.
I'm sure everyone is just glued behind your screens thinking, oh my God. Hi, Eric. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing this far and near. Thank you so much. God bless you. Eric from the US, thank you so much for joining us. Right. Do you want to go even a bit further? I mean, if you're giving money to loved ones, you talked about emotional blackmail. What is emotional blackmail? Could you just elaborate on it so that we know what it actually is, instead of just having that phrase emotional?
Yeah.
And then what do we do? Just tell us a bit more about it.
Okay, so I guess we can use one example of a girl that we were helping out, and she was in prostitution at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And she had a little girl, and she used to prostitute herself for cocaine.
Yeah.
And she got to a point where she actually lost custody of her daughter due to this fact.
Yeah. Not permanently, but just temporarily lost her for a bit.
She got put into foster care. So we were trying to help and support her to come off of that. But she would always ask her father for money, because she was saying that she needed to get herself sorted out. And she needed to make sure that she could do her daughter's room up, that she could have enough money for food for everybody, because her daughter was going to come home for the weekend. And so her father would put money underneath her doormat for her. So she had it. As soon as she got it, she spent it on drugs.
Straight up.
There was never enough food in the house for herself or a little girl. It totally went all the time. And so she would emotionally say to her father, I'm really struggling. I can't look after my little girl if you don't give me this money.
Yeah.
And so she would draw off that emotional tie and love.
If
and
you love me, you will.
Yeah. If you love me, Dad, you'll let me have it. And bless him, the father used to keep giving it.
Yeah.
I don't know, at least 2 or 3 times a week.
Quite a lot.
He would keep giving. all the time. But actually, all it was doing was
Just
going in
better.
to feed her habit.
Mhm.
And so people use children as a huge manipulator
Yeah.
to actually succeed in getting their choice of drug.
Mm.
So that's how people start sort of emotionally blackmailing. And the lies, unfortunately, when you're an addict, you become a really good liar.
Mm.
You know, it's really sad, but you're that invested in supplying your drug to yourself and having that need met, that it goes at all costs. You know, you'll do anything.
Yeah. I want to interject one thing. I
Go
know
on,
it's
Jimmy.
really
Go on.
negative about what's going on with this girl, but same girl. Okay. I'm going to give you one that is a heart wrenching bit. Sometimes when you're supporting people, you've got to go through hell with them. Okay. Now, bear in mind, middle class, white guy, right? Driving around in an Audi, down with all the prostitutes. What do I look like? I look like a client. I'm down there with Dawn. Dawn's on another street because the way the road works, one road is some of the girls, another road's another girl. Dawn's on that side. I'm on this side trying to get her. I found her, pulled up to her, trying to get her in the car so we can take her, get a shower, get some food, clean her up, you know, kind of basically make everything good. Another client drove by, saw her talking to, obviously, white guy in a nice little car, right? Drove by and she yelled at me because she lost a punter, a client, because she was talking to me.
Talking to you, yeah.
Right? I watched her get in the car with him, knew exactly what she was going to do with him. You can kind of fill in the blanks here.
Yeah.
Okay. And then after she was going to be done with him, she was going to get the money and straight into the drugs. I lost her for that day. Okay. But because we persistently pursued her, like God persistently pursues people, we persistently pursued her, kept working with her, kept talking to her, kept helping her, putting her into rehabs, all the different things we could do to help her. She came out of a rehab, got herself clean, got herself a boyfriend, got herself a job helping, I think it was children at the end.
Yeah.
Helping children. She has got to a point where now people contact us because they need help. When they're free and clear and all that, we never hear from them again because they don't need us anymore. At this point, we have lost contact with her because she is so normalized, she doesn't need us.
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
I mean, there's so many wonderful stories we see of people getting set free. It's just beautiful to watch it.
Yeah.
Just beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, let's go to our viewers. Hi, Priscilla. Thank you for joining us from the US. Please connect with your friends. Tell them that there's something good going on here. We have a question from me. Now, he says, can you get addicted to prescribed medication? I know you started talking about that. Do you want to go into a bit more details?
Very much so.
Yeah.
I'll jump on this one. We had a girl that we worked with in Ghana. And it is very possible. So you have a real genuine problem. You have muscle aches or sprain or trapped nerves, whatever you might have, back problems, you know, sciaticus, whatever it might be. You have a legitimate problem that doctors will prescribe you medication. When there's serious pain, you're going to get things like morphines, codeines. You're going to get the more serious pain relief that's out there, not your over-the-counter stuff, but the real big stuff.
Class A's.
When you get to class A's, you're dealing with severe pain, and it's legitimate severe pain. What happens is the body naturally builds up a resistance to it. It's what we do all the time. Anytime you're on a medication, you keep taking it, you're going to need to take more of that medication. So you're going to go to the doctor and you're going to say, you know, yeah, you've given me 500 milligrams of morphine, but you know what? It's just not touching the pain. And it's absolutely the truth. It's not a lie. You're not manipulating the system, whatever. Your body's naturally resistant to it. If they keep you on the same drugs, they increase the milligrams constantly to a point of that your body won't produce anything, and you have to do it all you'll have to do it through the medication, and you'll be overprescribed to a point that you can't do anything you can't even move without the morphine, without the codeine that's coming into your system. It's not your fault. It's not the doctor's fault. It's your body naturally just being more and more resistant. So you have to take more and more and more to a point that the doctors will say, that's as far as we can prescribe you. We can't go any farther.
And then they have to do the weaning off process.
Yeah.
So yeah, in answer to the question, yeah, you can get addicted to prescription drugs.
Yep.
Absolutely. Same way as you would to illegal drugs.
Yep.
No different.
Yep. And there's a point where some people, when they do get to that top limit with the doctors, they will then seek out heroin. They will seek out other drugs on the side to supplement so they can finally stop feeling the pain.
Mm.
So,
Right. Oh, this is really good. This is such a blessing. I'm just thinking, this is a little bit off what we planned, but I know you are going to help me with this, because as a parent, or as parents, what can we do? Because some of us are thinking, well, I'm not into drugs, so my children are not going to find it. They're not going to find alcohol. They're not going to find cigarettes and all that. But there's phones. They have phones, and they have all these media and gadgets and things. So what can we do? And in terms of friendship and supporting family, what can we do? So I know there's a lot in there. So just take your time and then just break up.
I'll start with the simple thing of saying kids will find it. You can remove their friends. You can say, I don't want you to be around them. They will find it. I was smoking. Sorry if my dad actually sees this. I was smoking when I was 9. Okay. I was up to almost, by the time I was about 11, I was almost up to 2 packs a day without my parents knowing. So I found unique and wonderful ways of being able to smoke at a young age, and I could get them. If I could get them, anyone can get them. So you cannot stop your children, but if you show them right and wrong, you're more likely that they're going to choose right if they see right as a good thing.
I think as well, it's to not even start that process of addictive behavior, which is allowing your children to be sat on their tablets or their games,
the screen time,
and limit screen time that they have. If you allow them that free time, they're going to get into that cycle of addiction. And I remember my daughter being addicted to I can't even remember the name of the game now.
Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, but Crash Bandicoot, crazy. And she would spend hours and hours and hours on it. But that was because I let her. That came down to my responsibility of how I was going to instill in my children what was right and what was wrong. And I think it's about realizing how easy it is to, and influential we are into the addictive mind, and how we allow that to happen in our children.
Yeah. I mean, one thing to kind of remember, and this is something it's actually God created us to be addicted, not to the bad things. Okay. Get this in your minds. He actually is designed us to be addicted to worship. There's been studies done where people have played worship music and sung to God and spoken tongues and prayed. The same drugs in your brain are produced as the drugs that are happy drugs. So actually our bodies are built to worship God and to be singing praises to God, just like the angels do. It's what we're built to do. The problem is, as a society, we've kind of went, well, I don't know how to do that. Let me find something else that'll do it. And you find the other things that give you those same dopamine drugs that are dripping into your brain. So if you think about it, if you're with your kids, give them a happy drug, a happy thing, so that when you want them to do something good, you increase that dopamine, that praise, that wonderfulness of what you've done. It'll reinforce to your children that if I do this, I get the good things. If I do that, I get the bad things. And it's about praising the good things to a level that they get the happy dopamine drugs dripping in their brain. Does that make sense, or did I just speak?
Absolutely, it does. It does. So there's something for us to do as parents. Right, talking about medication, let me go back to this, because there's a question about medical marijuana being safe. What do you think about it? Can you see the question up there?
Yeah. Medical marijuana is, they have found that medical marijuana works with people with cancer. I understand that it does have a medicinal value. The simple thing about it is marijuana. It will cause addiction. It won't, it's like codeine, morphine, stuff like that. They are proven medical drugs. Medical marijuana, proven medical drug, works for the people. But yes, it will do the same things because it's still marijuana. You will still have the paranoia. You will still have the lung problems. You will still have the addiction because it will happen. And like any drug that you take, your body will naturally build up that intolerance, it'll naturally build up the tolerance to it. You'll be taking more than medical marijuana. Okay. It serves a purpose, but obviously you've got to watch out for the side effects, just like any drug.
Cool, thank you. I hope you're okay with that. If not, please come back with another question, and they're more than happy to help you with that. And thank you, Sebastian, for joining us from Zambia. Which part of Zambia are you, Sebastian? Are you in Ndola or Kitwe? So, oh, Kitwe is Kenya. Is Kitwe Kenya or Zambia? Oh, well, I don't know now. But I've been to Ndola, so tell us where you're joining us from, Sebastian. God bless you so much. And look, yeah, it's amazing when you talked about the fact that actually by giving our kids that happy, that praise, filling their pot or filling their bank with that self-affirmation and that positive, the praise, that kind of gives them the same effect that they would get from drug. And talking about the fact that we can actually be addicted to worship. How beautiful is that? And we're created to be addicted to worship, because come to think of it, if you're not addicted to worship, how will you survive in heaven?
Absolutely.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. Can I just say about that as well, that unfortunately this is where the devil plays. And it's this, I think for me, this is where the devil destroys human beings. Now he plays off of this because we're God has created us to be addicted. Okay, we have a natural release of dopamine that God created us to have. And if you like, even in the secular world, that in AA ministries and everything else, they will tell you that your brain gets hijacked. Okay. So this is what the devil does. He hijacks that part of your brain that releases dopamine. All right. And so what he does is he makes you believe that this is the reward you want. So the drug is the reward you're looking for. And actually, that's the biggest lie that has ever come out of the mouth and from the pit of hell. All right. But this is how he taps in and gets a strong and a foothold and a stronghold into your addiction, and makes you run after that in the belief that actually it's okay to have this because this is what makes you feel good. And you actually believe that lie. And it's, sit in this circle of addiction under your brain being hijacked. And if you like, it's stolen. Don't forget the thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Okay, so he's taking that part of release of neurotransmitters that makes the dopamine release. He runs with that and makes you believe that lie, that this is what you want. You want this pornography. You want this drug.
You want it.
You want this game, whatever it is. You want it more than life itself. And this is the horrendous destruction we see in people. And this is why we need to be set free from all these addictions. I
mean, I was thinking about it when they were asking me about the medical marijuana. One thing they kind of consider, medical marijuana is a more pure plant. Marijuana nowadays, you have all kinds of custom flavors, they can lace it with a bunch of different things. Marijuana isn't just a pure plant that grows out of the ground. They are working it and actually manipulating the plant to give you, I mean, I can't even tell you, it must have been at least 20 or 30 different styles, flavors, the way it hits, the way it comes at you, where you get hit later or earlier, how, you know, I mean, you can customize your marijuana by taking different buds from different plants and combining the two together to get a totally different high than you would just off the pure plant. So comparing medical marijuana to street marijuana, they are night and day versions of each other. Okay, street versions, they got all kinds of great names. We don't need to go there because I don't want to have people go, oh, I want to look for that. No, it's not happening.
No, not nice. I mean, and the really sad thing is that it's available on your high street.
Yeah.
They've actually got the shops.
Well, we do here. I don't know if they do in America or whatever.
I don't know.
We do
No,
here.
someone tell us from what you're watching, tell us if you know about these things. Yeah, go on, Dawn.
Yeah, so these shops are readily open for you to walk in, no matter what age you are.
Yeah,
that's what I found shocking.
There isn't an age limit to get paraphernalia.
No,
and I mean, it was literally. I mean, the owner of the shop. We were asking questions because of what we do to kind of get people out of it. So we're asking more point blank questions. And the girl behind the counter was like, "Yeah, you can get a this, you can get a that." And the owner kind of went, hang on a minute, stop. Because he was thinking we're cops.
Right, yeah.
Because we were asking too many of the good questions, too close to where can I get? And we hadn't been cleared yet as, safe people. We haven't been introduced.
Yeah.
So he didn't know that we were safe or whatever, that kind of thing. So he kind of went, hang on. But I mean, we literally have a whole stack of paraphernalia up on the top there.
We went in and bought all this paraphernalia because we were doing educating people in the church on what these things look like.
Because some of them look just like a normal compact.
Thank you. So talking about how it looks like, I had a shock of my life when these were brought in as part of our safeguarding training. And we saw how, for example, how vapes look like.
Yeah.
You have some, is it drugs in food? So like in things like jelly babies and
lollipops.
So to the normal or to the lay person, these look like nothing, and they look like highlighters, and they look like. Tell us a bit more about this, please.
Yeah, I mean, we were quite surprised that actually when you can buy these, the papers that you roll up cigarettes in, so you make these with joints. They're bigger rolly papers, and they're flavored in strawberry flavor.
Yeah, so if you didn't like it, you can
have raspberry. You can have whatever any flavor you want.
There was 50, 60 different flavors you could choose.
What's this question? Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Is there a generic way of helping people come out from addictions, or?
Well, each direction has a specific remedy.
Okay.
Well, I think, to be honest, it goes into a really deep answer to that, but I'll try and not get too heavy with it. But I always ask when anyone comes in with me and they come into counseling with me or anything, they go, "Oh, I'm on heroin or whatever." I said, I don't care. I don't need to know what you're actually using, because I need to know why.
Okay.
And it's always why. And we cut through the layers of why. And it doesn't matter what you're addicted to. There's always a root cause of why you're doing what you're doing. So if you like, your brain gets hijacked and the devil plays. All right. But why did you go to it in the first place before the devil got a foothold?
Yeah.
So we look back on that rather than, it doesn't matter what addiction it is.
Yeah. What you won't find is, like, if you do this, like point A, do this, point B, do that, point C, do that, bang, they're out of addiction. It won't happen that way, because we are human. We are so individual, and we all have our own characters. We have our own personalities, and you mix all that together. And Dawn got prayed for. God cured her of her addictions. Me, no, that don't work for me. You pray for me, I'm going back in. You know what I mean? I needed to work through mine, and God knew that. So he handled me in a much different way than Dawn. I had to suffer mine. I had to go through the DTs. I had to go through the pain of it, because I felt the pain. I then remembered the pain and went, oh, I don't like that. I don't want that again. Do you see where I'm at? So don't think that there's a generic way, because everybody's so uniquely different,
And I think God will treat us that way,
Yeah. Yeah, as long as you're
Yeah,
clean.
could we, I know, so you've talked about the fact that there is no generic way, which obviously makes sense.
Hmm.
But let's say someone wants to break free from the addiction of pornography. Do
Okay.
you think that there is something, I mean, just as for starters, what could they do?
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then if we talk about, let's say, alcohol, so let's do pornography,
Okay.
let's do alcohol, let's do nicotine, and
Okay.
then just go down until we have a new question after.
Sure. I'll get a good one. And this works for quite a few people. Okay. Now, what I don't physically have one. My Bible's on my phone, so I don't physically have a Bible right here. So I do
Okay.
apologize. But one thing that with pornography, you always find pornography one way or another. You either go on your phone or you go in on your laptop, whatever it might be. What you do at night, if it say it's, as an example, say it's a laptop, you put the laptop down, you put the Bible on top of it.
Right.
Okay? Now, here's the thing. You're going to go to the pornography.
Mhm.
When you do, you have to actually lift God's word off of it. And at that point, you're saying to God, sorry, not you yet. I still need to go to pornography. Yeah. They won't, to begin with, they will literally lift the Bible off straight away. But the more you remind them of, you're putting the Bible on top of it, you're actually saying no to God every time. If you just chose God instead, you'd get so much more out of it. And that's what I found with quite a few of the guys that had pornography problems and the laptop. You put a Bible on top. After a while, they stop going to the laptop and they start going to the Bible, because you then change your mindset going, I don't need to look at that girl, or I don't need to look at that guy. I'll just listen to God. And trust me, there's enough pornography in the Bible. You can get your fix in that way as well. You know what I mean? But that's what I mean. You're feeding your mind with God rather than feeding your mind with the devil. And that's a way of kind of changing things. That's just a simple example of something to do with that one. Alcohol. That's,
Hang on.
Sorry.
No, go for it, because I was going to ask another question, but you go for it, and then I'll still chip it in along the line.
Okay. I think one of the other tricks we have to be very sly sometimes ourselves, because we have to dodge and weave through all their lies and deceitfulness, which people conjure up to manipulate the situation. So you have to dodge and weave with them. And what one lady I used to have that would just buy herself a bottle of wine every night, and to her that was fine.
It's just a bottle.
It was just one bottle, but and I used to say to her, "Do you actually finish the whole bottle?" Well, she said, "Yes, of course I do." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I said, "Well, every night?" She said, "Yes, every night." So we got to a point in understanding of why was she drinking this, and we unearthed the reason why, but it was very new, very raw still. So what I told her to do was to have sticky notes, and to get the sticky notes, and when she bought her drink, her bottle, stick the label on it, and the label said, "Link, don't drink." Okay, so she would have to consciously make that decision. Am I going to link this through to understand why I'm doing this, or am I just going to drink it myself into oblivion? So it's giving them the choice, which they don't have when they're in that cycle of addiction. So that's what we used to do with this one particular lady, and it worked great for her. And then she was able to actually understand more what she was doing rather than work in the compulsion. So
I mean, one of the times I had a guy that called me up and he said, "Jim, I need you to help me. I need you to support me." I said, "Oh, okay, why?" He says, "Well, I got my dealer here right now and I want to get something from him, but I need you to stop me." Now,
it's not possible. You tell us.
And that was, those are the hard calls, because simply put, the dealer didn't just knock at his door and go, "Hey, just checking." You know what I mean? He made a telephone call, or he did a text, said to the dealer, "What you got?" Dealer came to the door and said, "Just what I got. What do you got money for? And then I'll be able to get it for you." Then he had that moment where he went, "You know what? I shouldn't do this. Who am I going to call? I'll call Jim. He's okay." and he'll convince me that I don't need it. And I'll tell the dealer to go, shove off and go. Okay. But it's what you got to remember is you need to allow them to have a choice. So while I was on the phone with him, I said, you have a choice. You can choose the dealer and the drugs that he's got. You know what direction that's going to go and where you're going to go after that. Or you can go and you can listen to worship music, listen to some God coming into you, and you know where that is going to go. But you have to make the choice yourself. Which one do you want? Do you want the dealer or do you want God? And a lot of times, as horrible as it may sound, sometimes they went, I'll have the dealer, thanks. But you just have to keep giving them that choice. Like we were saying, if you take away the choice, that freaks them out, and they are definitely going to choose the wrong way. But if you give them the right and wrong and allow them the space as a human being to make the right choice or the wrong choice, sometimes they will make the wrong one. Go, okay, you made the wrong one. Let's try and correct it in the future. It's about that kind of attitude, not, oh, I can't believe you made the wrong choice again. Yeah, it just it feeds the wrong choice. And you need to give them the right choice. You did the right choice. You did it. You did do it. Well done. Great on you. Let's go out and get a cup of coffee. Let's get an ice cream because you made the right choice.
And again, it's about reinforcing that the reward, because your reward system's been hijacked, don't forget. So it's about reinforcing the actual the good rewards are actually better than the hijacked rewards.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's and it's very sad sometimes because you have to allow people to hit rock bottom.
Yes.
And I think that is so difficult.
It is hard
because,
especially if you love them.
Yeah, for watching family, watching on as a family member it's agonizing.
Yeah,
it is awful to see it happening. Doesn't matter what type of addiction it is. If you're wrapped in it completely, and I know one girl called me up and said, "Can we meet?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And she was in the middle of a cocaine habit, and again, she was out prostituting to get that. We met in the coffee shop, and she came. She said, "I need help." I said, "I know you do." I said, "But are you ready? Are you really ready?" I said, and time and time again, everyone would go, yeah, I'm ready. But they're not.
So is there a way people would know if they are really ready for the change?
Yeah.
Usually it's what kind of happens a lot of times. And a lot of people say, I will give up my addiction for you. So like, say for instance, your husband, he has an addiction. I'll give it up for Maud. I will give it up for her. Take Maud out of the equation. He will no longer give it up, But when they're really, really ready, it's, I will give it up for myself because I need to do this for me. When they start doing it that way, I'm doing it because I've lost my kids. No, you're not going to do it. I'm going to do it because I need to get myself right. And you know what? If my kids come back, that is a much more stable and better way because they're going to be sorting themselves out. And once they do, they can prove to everybody, hey, I've changed. I'm changing for me. And then if everyone else comes to them afterwards, that's a better attitude to have than I'll change for my children. Yeah. But it's finding out what that motivator is. And a lot of times it's you guys just asking and shutting up and listen. What motivates you? What is the one thing that would make you really want to go for this? And people have a single motivator. But the moment, if I said, I'm giving up for Dawn, I guarantee you I will not give up. Because at that point, if you take her out of the picture, she removes herself from the picture, I'm straight back where I was.
That's it. Yeah.
It is tough. It's tough because you have to sit back and watch them hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
Time and time again, we've had to sit. They say, why can't you do anything? Because we can't, because it's not our choice. It's their choice.
You can remove their choice, but I guarantee you there will be removing that choice.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay. So I've got a question here. Is porn okay for Christian couple?
There was a
what was that? What's the question?
Is porn okay for a Christian couple? Okay. I'm going to go with the simple statement. Okay. in the Bible, it says you're not supposed to even look at a woman in a lustful way. Okay. I know I probably got the Bible verse somewhere. I cannot quote a Bible verse to save my life, and I'm sorry that I can't, but I can't. But it even states it to that level. The moment that I, as a married man, am looking at porn, I am not looking at it and going, wow, I appreciate the fine lines and the angle of that woman's body or whatever. You know what I mean? You're looking for a different reason. Okay. Even if you're doing it together, you are both looking at it for the wrong way. And it's about dwell time. I'll get into this real simple thing. I walk down the road, I see a pretty woman, and I identify and go, pretty blonde woman. And that's as far as I go. Simple observation. You've observed the person. If you go, pretty blonde woman, that's probably about 5'8", and that dwell time, that observing and looking, that is where it's wrong, because you start moving into lust. And that's the difference. So as a Christian couple, you don't want to be lusting over someone. Your center, your whole world should be your wife. And that's what you should be looking at.
Or your husband.
Or husband. Yes. I can only speak for me as a, but that's where you need to be focusing, is that direction. If you guys are doing it together, there's probably something broken in the, there you go. Thank you for the Bible verse.
Thank you, Kim.
There are theologians out there. Thank you very much. But it's more about basically being that unit, that the two of you are together and you work together. And if there's something that you're doing with pornography together, there's probably something already broken in the relationship. And it's more about putting God back in the middle of your relationship.
And I think, again, this is where the devil comes in to steal this, isn't it? And he will come and destroy what God has meant for good. And again, that's a great example. It's a great example because he'll hijack that system and break marriages down. Just pornography. I mean, it's such a destroyer of families and relationships and marriages. It's it has a devastating effect on marriages.
Right. Thank you for that. So I remember I remember when we got married, or sometimes when people get married, they say to them, well, you don't know what to do. Why don't you watch some porn together to get some ideas?
Okay.
I know you've answered it, but that's the reason, because you're virgin, you don't know what to do. So do you really need to go that way to know what to do?
In a way, if you guys have good communication, okay, you as a woman or as a man, you will know what feels right. Okay. And I'm going to be very, very delicate and very careful, because I know that obviously we're going out on social media. But the simple thing is, you can communicate and say, I like that. I'd like more of that. And that's part of the fun of being married, is the exploration. Yeah. And it's more about you guys enjoying the time together. And you can actually, the better your communication is, you can say, hey, I like that. Let's do that again. And at that point, you're learning what's right or wrong. If you watch porn, there are things that are there that they do to sell the porn, you know what I mean, which aren't necessarily pleasurable for either person. But you think it is because, it must be because all the porn people do it. And it's like, no, they're just doing it to sell it, But if you communicate, that is a much better way of learning how to have sex, because that's really, God created it for us to enjoy it.
And I don't think you have to look outside of the box for that to happen. And I think it's a very special thing between man and woman that is supposed to be kept within the marriage. And I don't think you need to look elsewhere for that. I think maybe if you're having difficulties within the marriage, whatever, I think maybe then you need to go to a counselor for that. And
it's really more than anything, if you're having difficulties, it's probably you're not able to talk to each other in an open, safe relationship.
Either that, or there's some trauma or something going on. There's always a lot of other issues going on behind that as well. But looking for it and looking for solutions on media is not good. Not good at all.
Thank you. I'll have another one here. Is masturbation wrong?
Absolutely. I don't think there's any ifs or buts about that.
No, it's
it's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, we've
kind
had
of
a few.
addictive in a way.
Yes, it comes alongside pornography, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In
a way, if it's because men are visual, so we will want a visual stimulus. Women have a more sensual sort of stimulus, so they're looking for something different: smells, sounds, feelings, that kind of thing. But it's still, you're trying to find an imitation to get the dopamine in your head. That's really what you're looking for, is that bit there, that release. And there's a reason why you're masturbating, whatever that might be. There's something there, and it's like you're lonely, you haven't been around a man for a long time because you can't get this, or you can't find a woman, whatever it might be. There's probably a reason feeding behind the masturbation. Masturbation just doesn't happen on a Tuesday. It happens because of a reason.
Again, it goes down to the why question.
Yeah.
And I had a lady that was actually addicted to sex.
Yeah.
Just constantly, she said, I just can't get enough of it.
Mhm.
Have to have it all the time.
Every day.
Yeah. Twice a day, 3, whatever it was. But it was a lot. And she was like, Dawn, why? Why do I keep doing this? And, and I said to her, it's no different from wanting sex to having heroin. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same release. The brain has been hijacked, and the belief is there that reward system is better than what God can provide. But again, we have to look under why. Why is that? And the fact is, she was really, really vulnerable and felt totally unloved within herself. And it was always that gratification she was looking for, and reinforcement that she was worthy, that she was wanted, and she just wanted to be loved.
Yeah.
But she had replaced sex with, now I'm loved. But actually, she had a real misunderstanding of what that was. So it's about looking at these things of get rid of what, it doesn't matter what's going on the surface of what you're doing. Let's look underneath that and say, well, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
And there's always so much hurt and trauma going on in people's lives that we're actually not aware of.
Yeah. And another way of looking at it is, a lot of people think that when I'm married to my wife, she only loves me when she has sex with me. And the one thing you got to remember is that love isn't just sex. Yes, you can love the person and be in love with them and make love to them in sex, but showing love comes in so many other different forms. Okay. So it's not just it's like when they come home from work and you greet them from work. That's love.
A cup of tea.
It doesn't have to be that physical bit. It's other things. It's things that you do for them. Sometimes it's gifts. When you first start dating somebody, you do every love language available. When you first start, you communicate with them, you give them gifts, you do deeds for them, you go out of your way to go see them. All the different things that you can speak love to, you do when you first start. Then you get a bit lazy and you go back to what you want for love, your personal love language. Yeah. You stop giving them all the other ones. And sometimes their love language is different.
Yeah.
So like if my wife wants me to hoover the house or vacuum the house, that's love language, right? I don't do that one. That's not my love language. Mine's totally different. I'll buy her flowers every day if I can. That's me saying I love you and I'm hammering it home. But she just wants me to run the hoover around the house, And that, if I start doing those things where I speak her language, may not be natural for me, but I'm running the hoover around the house. She's hearing, I love you every day because I'm running the hoover around. And then I'll do my own love language, giving her, a bunch of flowers, whatever it might be. That's me speaking mine. And if she hears that and knows that's mine, she'll hear me hoovering the house and giving her the flowers. She gets a double bubble. And that's where the love comes in. And the sex isn't in either one of those.
Yeah. And I think that the overriding thing is we're talking love, and God is love.
Yeah.
And it's about bringing love into any relationship with yourself and with others. And it's understanding that actually, yeah, you can love yourself as God would love you, not as the world would have it. And that's the difference.
Right. So if you're listening to us tonight, well, we've got a question, but yeah, thank you for keeping the questions going. So if you're listening to us tonight, we are talking about breaking from the power of addiction. And I've got here Dawn and Jim, and they have this powerful testimony of how God helps them to break away from addiction. And guess what? It's not easy, but it is possible. And the key thing for me today is, or my take-home message so far is, ask yourself some deep questions. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why? Before you even go looking for help, make sure you've done that soul-searching moment. You've had that minute to ask yourself, why am I doing it? Do we have food addiction? Could we talk about that very quickly and then talk about Quaker upon process question?
Okay, so food addiction.
Food.
Yeah, food is a huge one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the emotional release that we're looking for, and we get that complete satisfaction out of one. For ladies, I think it's chocolate
Or cake.
or cake. Yeah, I mean, there's a few, and again, they release the same chemicals as what you would do if you were having sex. So we become addicted to those things, and again, it's comfort. A lot of it's comfort we're needing.
I feel good when I have a pasta salad or when I have some chocolate cake. That feeling of I feel good if I eat a tub of ice cream. That's really what you're kind of saying.
Yeah, it's just emotional eating.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it goes the other way.
Emotional non-eating.
Yeah, when you don't and you deprive yourself of food. And you become anorexic, it's because again it's a body morphosis of the fact that you hate the way you look. You're not good enough. So again, and I would imagine it would come from there's an emotional trauma sat in there somewhere, that the dislike you have for yourself because again you're not good enough. Maybe it's abandonment, you know, whatever that is in there, rejection. But it's the fact that you're hating how you look. And you often hear people say, don't you, that when they're anorexic, they feel fat. And because
they don't like food.
Yeah. Their relationship with food has got deformed, you know, so their image and belief about themselves is deformed and very unhealthy. But again, you know, yes, we get hugely addicted to having or not having. We go on the purges when we make ourselves sick because then we go into guilt. It's such an emotional roller coaster with food.
Yeah. And that's not saying that, you know, like I really enjoy barbecue ribs. Hint, hint. But no, I really enjoy barbecue ribs. So literally.
And jollof rice.
And jollof rice.
Oh, really? Right. I will be inviting you.
The best one, the jollof rice. But yes. But if you think about it, there used to be a game we played when I was a lot younger. And the deal was I would order a full rack of ribs and I would eat the entire full rack of ribs before that person would have 2 bites of whatever they ate. If I could finish all of a full rack of ribs before they had 2 bites of theirs, they would pay for everybody's lunch. Good deal. Simply put, we got the waitress to get it there very quickly. I was served first, which I would just start eating. Yeah. And then they would talk to the person who was, you know, doing the 2 bite thing to slow them down a bit. And then all I'd say is done. And they'd have 1 bite because we would be answering the question. But the thing was, I would always make sure that I always had the ribs. And I got to a point where no matter where we went, I would look on the menu and I'd go, where are the ribs? And that was because I got enjoyment. Because I kept getting all of these positive influences, especially with that little game we'd play, that if I ate ribs, it's a good thing. I got the dopamine. And so I'd always be looking for ribs for that reinforcement. So no matter where we went, if we went to a McDonald's, I'd be looking for a McDonald's ribs if they had them, you know. And that's like a food addiction, the same way, because I was feeding it constantly with the positives that came out of it.
Mm.
There you
Thank
go.
you. Right, let's look at Kweku's question here.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
please, where an alcohol addict keeps asking for money, but anytime you give, he uses part to finance the addiction. And this is a son who is a teen. What do you do? Do you stop giving them? If you stop, how will they support themselves? So yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It's really interesting.
That's a tough one, but yeah.
Yeah, it's one that we hear quite a lot.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And my first thing would be recognize your part that you're playing
Mm.
in this, by giving the money. That actually you're contributing to this addiction.
You're actually saying it's okay because I know that you are paying for the alcohol and you're still giving them the money. So you're actually saying yes, it's okay.
Yeah, and it's a form of enabling. But you're doing it because you love them, it's totally understandable, isn't it? Because your heart goes out for them. You don't want them to suffer. But
and part of the money is probably going for good things. So it's like, yes, you still remember we said that they're great manipulators.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, and I think in a way that's that saying you have to be cruel to be kind.
Yeah.
You have to actually withdraw from enabling, and you have to watch them reach rock bottom.
They will find a way. And this is the part that's going to rip your heart out. And I'll be brutally honest. You will feel your heart just torn from your body, pumping whilst you're still alive. Because if you stop, they will still want the alcohol. They will find a way. They will start to steal. They will do what I did and, nick stuff and, rob places and break into houses. They will do the things they shouldn't do to make sure that they can still get the alcohol. But if you can find a way to kind of show them that they're buying the alcohol for the wrong reasons, they're trying to get it for the wrong reasons, and hopefully try to pull them out of this cycle, because they're going to be in that cycle where they're going to do whatever they can do to get it.
And I think, okay, so they're a teen. It says here that
they're a teen.
The son is a teen. Well, this is the time that they have to learn really quickly.
Yeah.
And it's important that they learn this before they go into their 20s and 30s, where it's going to be much more difficult for them to actually break this cycle.
Yeah.
So the quicker that you allow them to reach rock bottom and take responsibility. Addicts hate taking responsibility.
Not my fault.
It's always, oh no, I can't help it. Oh, I just have to. One thing we teach is you take responsibility for your side of the street, for what you're doing in your house and what you're doing to other people and to yourself. If you can't take responsibility, you're going to go into destruction.
Yeah.
And so the quicker you teach that by withdrawing your enablement, the better. And it's tough, but you just got to sit and pray. You got to sit back and you got to allow God to come and stand in that gap and do the job, because you can't do it. We can't do that in our own strength. You can only support. You can be there and let them know you love them. But you can't enable.
If you think about the prodigal son, he had to be sleeping with pigs. He wasn't living in just a shabby old shack. I mean, he got to the point where he was sleeping with pigs. He had to go all the way to the bottom. That's when he went, you know what? My servants are dealt with better than I am.
Yep.
He had to make that realization that, you know what? I'm so horrible and so terrible and so far down that my dad's servants are better than me. And at that point, that's when he hit his rock bottom, and he went waiting for the beating from his dad. And he went, look, I'll just sleep with the animals with dad's place. And what did dad do straight away? Just like God, he didn't walk. He didn't go, oh, send a servant to go get him. He ran and he grabbed him and he went, get in here. You are part of it. And that's what we got to do is, show how God would have done it. And God did it that way. And that's the way to be shown how to do it. Let him hit the rock bottom, but mop them up. Mop them up with love. Don't mop them up with condemnation. Mop them up with love and go, you're back in. Let's get you straight.
I think as well that, you know, it's in the story of the prodigal son. The father didn't go anywhere. He didn't run after him.
Yeah. Actually, that's true. He didn't. He was just waiting for him to come back home.
Yeah.
He did nothing apart from talk to God about it, and he waited. And so he didn't enable. He didn't run and try and stop. He waited. And I think that this is the best that we can do is use that as a huge example. You wait and allow them to do what they need to do.
Yep.
And it's tough. It's not nice waiting.
Yeah. And the important bit is no condemnation when they do come back.
Yeah.
Don't make them feel awful for coming back. Thank God you came back. I'm so glad you are here. You are welcome here. You know, it is about the comeback, and it's that positive that they came back, and it's like, okay, you screwed up. Yes, you did. And you acknowledge that. You say, look, yeah, you did screw up, but let's clean it up from here.
And I think that with that is, well, when the prodigal son came home, he was given a robe, wasn't he, and a ring on his finger and everything else.
Yeah.
So again, that you take that as, you know, the celebration that actually they made a good decision, a good choice, and you reward that good choice. But then again, it's not just that. You can be prepared for when they come home. You can have signposting for them. You can have places of rehabilitation where they can go. You can have tools then, you know, to say, how amazing to have you home. Amazing, you've made the right choice. Now we can signpost you. So yeah, there's always things to do.
Yeah. Brilliant. Now you were talking about the fact that we should be ready to receive them, isn't it? Now, in that sense, I know that sometimes in I don't know how to put this, but in typical African churches, people can be really judgmental.
Sure.
And certain things are really frowned upon, whilst other things, I mean, they're all sin, but whilst other things are considered okay, there are other things that are really frowned upon. Is it okay for someone to come to church if they're under the influence of anything? What would you say?
Okay, there are two schools of thought here. Okay, our school, very simple. God is all powerful, all omniscient. He is everywhere and can get through anything. Drugs, alcohol. I've seen people that have been under the influence that have had the healing part of God, that the drugs were drugged out of them. If God can do that, he could do anything. Going under the influence, you want to have somebody who at least knows how to come alongside somebody under the influence. You need a strong Christian that's going to be there to help protect that person and those around them. Okay? Because God can come to somebody in any form or fashion. You need to have somebody there who's kind of like willing to work with that person.
I think, can I just say with that as well, the attitude, I think, of judgment on what's okay for somebody to come into a church with, is it, you know, they come in and judge us because they smell maybe, or they're drunk, or they're using foul language, or they feel out of control. I mean, you know, there's no different to the silent person that sat there using pornography.
Or
Absolutely.
Or even simply somebody who's just looking at the worship leader, the female, and going, "Ooh, she's well fit."
Yeah.
That is, you don't smell it, you don't hear it, you don't see it, but they're doing the same sin.
I think, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's getting the church to understand that all sin is the same. There's no greater or lesser sin.
It's just more creepy for us. There are certain sins that are creepy. If I was a guy that fiddled children and you have a child, I guarantee you will see me worse off because you have a child. You think, well, what would he have done to my child? It's more personal to you because you have an emotional attachment to your child. Whereas if I said, you know, I have trouble with drink, but you know nobody who's an alcoholic, nobody ever beat you, nobody ever did anything wrong with alcohol, you'd be like, well, he's just an alcoholic, but my goodness, don't have him around children because he's going to fiddle everyone's children. you know, it's people have their own judgments based on their own past and their own insecurities and their own problems. But God sees them all the same way. Kitty fiddler, alcoholic, abusive, womanizer, lying, you know, sex offenders, all of it's the same to God. It doesn't matter. Sin, sin, sin. Whether I lie to you or not, he sees it all the same way. You live like Jesus did, or you're a sinner. Simple as.
I think as well that people have to get we have this idea of what church is supposed to look like.
Tell us.
I know, and it's like, actually, church is a hospital.
Yeah.
And we are supposed to come with all our faults and failings.
Every moment that you have one, get your butt into church. Simple
You know,
as.
we're not supposed to go to church when we've got it all together and we can sit up the front and then criticize and condemn others. That's not what church is. It's not what God's about.
No.
Yeah.
God broke us so that we could then be the healers for somebody else.
Yeah.
Allowed us to go through the traumas that we did so that I could say, you know what, I used to be alcoholic, but no, I'm not anymore. Somebody can go, hey, he used to be alcoholic. He's not. There's a chance for me.
Yeah.
And that's what
That's
we're
it.
supposed to be in the church. We're supposed to be examples of Christ.
Yeah.
You know, we're not there to judge, and we shouldn't be there to judge. If we're judging, then maybe we need to ask that little question, why? Why are we doing that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, church is a hospital, and we should be accepting. You don't turn people away from a hospital, do you, if they're hurting?
Yeah.
No.
Sorry, you're sick. You got to go. You know.
Yeah, because that's what it's there for. I had someone say that the church is like Noah's Ark. So you've got the snakes in there, you've got the zombies, you've got everything, all sorts. And guess what? From what Jim was saying earlier on about actually pastors being noted to have the highest statistics for pornography, who would have believed that?
I know,
So,
it's crazy, isn't it?
by all means, go to church. You know what you're doing is wrong, but guess what? There's still a place for you. There's still room for you at the cross. And like Jim said earlier on, just make sure you are going to church. So, as a church, we are trying not to judge. How do we welcome and support such people who come in? And I think, like we said earlier on, it's easy. It's in quotes easier for those sins like for the person who is masturbating and nobody can see, pornography. But if they come in wrenching of alcohol, how does the church cover them and make them feel loved and make them feel like they are part of God's family?
I think we class it as a dirty ministry.
Yeah.
It's not one of your clean ministries where
It's
you can
big stats and all that.
Yeah, it's not one where you can just sort of package things up and send it off to orphanages and things like that. You know, this is like you're on the streets, you're in the dirty, the rough and ready
like the ghettos
side
kind
of
of
it.
a thing.
You know, you're there with them,
Mm.
and as a church, we're called to sit with those people.
Mhm.
And we know sometimes people aren't called into doing that type of ministry.
Yeah.
I totally get that. But you have to find those that are able to sit with those that smell.
Yeah.
You know, those that actually don't look like us,
Yeah.
if you like.
Yeah.
And the ability to be able to come alongside people like that, and to be training people like that, that maybe want to do it, but actually don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Your church should be having that input and training on how to support people like this. What do we do? How do we do it? You know, how do we go about this?
Yeah.
And you should have a ministry there of people that specialize in supporting. Like, we go back to the illustration of the hospital. You don't get everybody knowing how to stitch up people. You've got people that actually know how to do brain surgery, that actually know how to cover wounds. They specialize. And as a church, we're supposed to specialize in all aspects, so we can support and draw them closer to God in our own unique way. So I think it's really important that we train people up and educate people. into supporting. So we developed the Elijah Project to actually support people into a residential type rehab, if you like.
Right.
So that we struggled with, because we used to run the AA groups, the 12-step programs, which is quite huge across the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we struggled with that because it became the God of your understanding. They changed it because it came out of Christianity from two Christians that developed it. But then the secular world got hold of it.
Because you can't have Christian, you need to allow for everyone everywhere. And that's their...
Yeah, so the Christianity got leaked out of it, if you like. And it became the God of your understanding.
Which could be,
which could be your tree
anything.
hugger.
It could be anything.
You know, you could be a tree hugger and, whatever. And it's like, actually, I can't run this program when I can't have God at the center.
Right. Dawn, could you just repeat that? Because let's say we've just had a viewer join in and think, actually, from all that they've been saying, I think they're just doing it because they're amazing people and they're really nice people, and Dawn can just do it. Dawn, could you just repeat that? What did you just say?
What did I say?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You're talking about the fact that you can't do it by yourself. You can't remove God out of it.
Yeah, you can't take it. In a way of looking at it, Dawn and I, my entire life, I never got over alcoholism. Not once. I did it as many different ways as I could do it. And I mean, even to a point that I dumped a glass of wine down the sink. And my first thought was, when I dumped it down the sink, is, but I can get a straw. You know, a little ring catch thing in the sink. Yeah. I was thinking, you know what? It's in there. And I thought, I can get a straw to get that alcohol out. And then I thought, hang on a minute, there's mung and all kinds of dirty stuff down in there. It's probably not going to be good. And that's the only thing that stopped me. But if there wasn't any mung in that thing, I'll guarantee you I would have sucked that out. But I was trying to do it under my power. When I started putting God into the middle of my addiction and had him working with me on it, that's when I got changed. God took that brokenness in me and he put the gold of him back into it. Okay. So he replaced that brokenness that I couldn't do on my own strength. But when you're doing a God of your own understanding, God is not allowed to work. That tree ain't going to put no gold in there, or whatever. I mean, I had a guy in one of the AAs, his sponsor was his higher power. His sponsor, another failed person, was his higher power. And he relied on that sponsor. When the sponsor fell, guess what? So did he.
Too. Yeah.
Okay. And that's why we said, look, with the Elijah Project, we're putting God back in, putting him in the middle. Let him work you and not you work you.
Right. Let's take Kweku has something here. Let's see. So I'm of the view that we should open up for all types of addicts, but we should not create an environment of comfort to continue comfortably in their addictions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They should be told the truth and be seen to be desiring for deliverance, else the church will be turned into a secure place.
A secular place?
A secular place.
Sorry, I was just thinking right secure. Yeah.
Yeah, you are bang on. Exactly what you're saying is it. You allow them in, but don't allow them to stay in that quagmire of problems that they've got. It's about the other program that we've got is the Barnabas training. Now, what it is very, very simple. It teaches people to come alongside people that are marginalized, people that are broken. So ex-offenders that are coming out, homeless people. And it's about teaching them to what level they can support. Some people are perfectly brilliant at being someone's friend. Some people need a little more structure, and you can, what we call befrienders, where you're friendly, but you have a bit more structure where you're not quite, in their house all the time, to where you have mentors, which is highly structured, highly time sensitive, where you are with that person, supporting them for just a specific amount of time, and you are challenging the behaviors. So like when you're saying, don't leave them where they are, give them a mentor, because the mentor is going to be poking them in the side going, are you still going to be on alcohol today? Are you still going to be, have you thought about going to a rehab? And that's really what a mentor is, somebody that kind of jabs you into going, you know what, you need to make a better choice. And it's that sort of choice and
Well,
choosing.
yeah, and it's educating as well, and also deliverance.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely got to have it.
It's all there, and it all needs to be given to people so they have a fair chance of recovery.
Whatever it takes to get someone free, that's what you do. And if it means that you got a whole bunch of little old ladies that are, prayer warriors that are praying 24 hours a day, by God, get those prayer warriors sitting there. There is more power in one person on their knees praying in a cupboard or a closet or whatever it is in your country, just praying for a specific individual, going, you know what, God, you get them a breakthrough. There's more power in that lady than there is a 6'7" boxer, because she is dealing with not just herself, but she is dealing with the spiritual side. There's an enactment that happens on the other side, the spiritual side, rather than the physical side. And it's more about thinking that direction than just what you can see physically.
I think as well, it's really interesting that, again, you ask that question, are you ready? Because you can pray for someone and pray for their deliverance, but they have to be in that mindset that they want change as well. So, and that takes a while sometimes for people to get to that part of actually, I really can see something different here. Yes, I really want it. But I mean, you can pray for someone as much as you like and do deliverance over them. But if they're not in that mindset, they're just going to go back to what they know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
You can remove a devil and a demon from somebody and they can head home, and all they got to do is just invite them right back in.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
More, actually.
But they got to make that choice as well. And it's about them making the choice. Because if they allow them back in, you'll just do a deliverance again tomorrow. And you'll do it again and again and again until they are ready to let go themselves.
Well, they come back tenfold, don't they?
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you so much, Dawn and Jim, for this insightful session. I know we are actually slightly behind time, so we're going to be ending this. But is there any one thing that you really want to get out there? I'm going to go with Jim first, and then you, Dawn, and then we're going to pray just in case someone is listening and the person is saying, "Gosh, I really needed to hear this today. Thank God I've heard this. I am ready. I want today to be that day where I'm going to come clean with God and actually accept that, yep, I've been addicted to but I want today to be that day of deliverance for me." So first of all, what's the take-home message? What one thing do you want everybody to know, Jim? And then Dawn, and then we end with a prayer.
I would say the one thing that I can get across that's probably the most important thing: love like Jesus did. Don't condemn. Don't try to belittle someone into it. Just love them where they are. They're broken. They're only broken. Broken things can be fixed. Yeah. And just allow God time to work. And it's about you allowing God to work through you. Don't do it your way. Ask him for the words. Ask him for the way. And he will help you help them.
Okay. For me, I think I'd just like to use that one word, surrender. And get on your knees. If you're on your knees, you can't go anywhere. You can't run away. You can't run to the addiction. You're sat on your knees. It's going to take you longer. And in that process, surrender. Because the thing is, God already knows. He knows what you're doing.
He does.
No, but we fear opening that up and admitting. But the fact is, and I think that's a big one. It was a big one for me. God already knows what your past is.
Yeah.
You're not going to surprise him by surrendering and telling him.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is fear. So I would say just get on your knees and surrender and seek help.
Thank you so much, viewers, for joining us tonight. So next week, we're going to have Jim and Dawn once again, together with Dr. Lai. He'll be hosting next week's program. So please make sure you talk to your friends about it. If you missed this, go back, rewatch it. It's going to be available on YouTube. It's going to be available on Facebook. Just go back, rewatch it, share the link. Make sure that this message gets out there to someone. Next week, we'll be talking about a lot more about the Elijah Project and how people can reach it and how people could access it from wherever they are in the world. Dawn, let's say someone is watching us tonight and the person is finally on their knees. They are actually saying, Jesus, I need you. I want this to stop today. I want this to stop now. I want you to say a prayer for them, Dawn, as we come to an end of the program.
Okay. All right. So I just thank you, Lord, for everything that you've been doing. And thank you for this ability to reach those people that are just sitting and listening and hearing this tonight.
Yeah.
Just, Father God, that I just ask that they go to their knees and they surrender. They really look in their hearts for the call that they have and shout it out to you, Lord, that they surrender. That they can't do it anymore.
No.
And they rely on you, that your Holy Spirit this evening, Lord, will just tap into them, that they will fall to their knees, that they will be asking and calling for help. And Father God, I just ask that you just meet them where they're at tonight, Lord.
Yes, Lord.
The Lord, that you just comfort them where they're at, that you give them the peace that maybe they haven't felt for a long, long time. Father, that you just help them surrender, help them know that they're not alone, that Father, that you will lead them, you'll guide them, and you're going to surround them with the support that they need. The Father, they're not going to be left out to dry.
That's right.
Father, that you're going to fill them up with your love at this time. Father, I just ask, Lord, that you just dispatch angels to come around them this evening. The Father God, that they're protected from head to toe. The Lord, that you're going to lead them into a new beginning. That this is a new time for them to be set free in the mighty name of Jesus.
That's right.
We just ask this in your precious name, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. Whoa. Well, Kimberly R. So very informative. Thank you so much. This is coming
Thank
from
you, Kimberly.
A big God bless you. We've been so blessed. I have been so blessed. I cannot tell you how much. Wow. Powerful takeaway, withdraw. My takeaway, withdraw your enablement and watch them hit rock bottom. Absolutely. So though it's painful for you to watch or to look on, that is the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Take responsibility and leave the rest to God. Show them love, not condemnation. Pray and wait.
Amen.
Absolutely. And I think that's the whole program that we've summarized for us quick. God bless you so much. Thank you, Dawn and Jim, for joining us. Thank you to Eric, who is behind the scenes, who's been working really hard to make this a success. God bless you so much, viewers. And we hope to see you same time next week on part 2. Please make sure you come in with your questions. You could always be sending messages on Facebook. You could send it to Wisdom Conference, and we would read your questions. You could send it throughout the week so that they get ready for you. And make sure you share, tell your friends, tell your family, get your church. This is something that we all need to hear and know about. God bless you so much, Dawn and Jim.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
God bless you.
God bless you. I've just been so blessed, and I can't wait to go back and just listen to everything. It's just been such a blessing, such a blessing. So I'll ask you to wait for a few minutes as we go off the program. Thank you.